This is the third part of our guide to returning to DJing, aimed especially at old school DJs. You know how DJing should be done. You've been loving being a part of it for decades, even if only on the sidelines, and now you want to get involved. Well, good. Or maybe you have been involved all the way through, you just want to catch up with the way it's done today. Either way, this series is for you. We've already cheekily started at the sync button. The second place we went was the gear. And now we're going to talk about music. So this is a real nice simplified way to get back into the music, because of course everything has changed. It used to be record boxes, record shops, CDs in a CD wallet. Maybe you were starting to download stuff and burn it onto CDs yourself. But all of that, all of it is gone. And now it's digital files, online stores, it's streaming services, it's metadata and all that stuff. So we're going to make it very simple to understand where you need to go to get started again in the new world. So I'm going to give you 7 tips, and I'm going to answer some questions that we get asked a lot here at the school about this. Let's talk about what we're going to try and achieve here. We don't want you to have a collection of 10 terabytes of music. You know, I've got 5 decades of the top tunes from my country and beyond and all that stuff. No. We're going to get you to your first virtual record crate or CD wallet. We're going to get you to your first 60 odd songs, you know, an hour and a half of music. That's all you need to get started again. And we can build from there. And I'm going to give you some solid tactics for building mindfully from there. So that's what automatically made it a little bit less scary, right? We're just going to get our first 60 tunes. How hard can that be? So number 1, we're going to collect songs, not albums, not even releases. So back in the day, of course, you could buy a track, but you had to buy what was on the other side as well, or if it was a double or treble pack, 12-inch, etc., etc. Now we just have to buy the version of the song we want. Of course, if you want more than one version, that's great. But we're going to buy in songs, not releases, and definitely not albums. This is all part of only getting the music that we want to DJ with, which is our second point. Do not pack your DJ library with stuff that you're not going to DJ with. We're all music collectors. We all love music. I've got a large music collection. I'm sure you have. But we're going to have a place on our computer which is only for the tracks we're going to DJ with. And if it means you have to copy a few of them out of your main library, that's fine. But just have one place on your computer, just be one folder somewhere on your hard drive called My DJ Music. And this is where we're going to put our 60 tracks. So we're going to listen all the way through to every single track we add to that. When you were getting tracks back in the day, buying them in a record store, you would definitely have a good listen to them before you bought them. And I bet sometimes you would only flick through in the record store, get them home, listen all the way through and think, oh, I wish I hadn't bought that. Or if you knew the record store well, you'd take them back and say, change my mind, can I swap it? Right? We're going to listen all the way through before we add songs. This means that we are not just throwing stuff in willy-nilly, but also it means that it's going to tempt us into actually mixing. Because if we listen all the way through to the track, you might think, oh, you know what, I really love this. I just want to get mixing now. Even though you've only got to the point where you've got 5 songs in your collection, right? You know, you're doing what I'm saying. You've got your first 4 or 5. You think, you know what, it's going to be more fun to play with these. So you head into your DJ software or onto your DJ gear and you start playing with the 5 songs you've got. Trust me, that is a better use of your time than just sitting there packing your library with music. So we're only going to get individual songs. We're only going to get the songs that we actually want to DJ with, and we're going to listen to each one through all the way. So we're adding them mindfully, and we're hopefully getting distracted and encouraged into mixing. Now, I said have a folder called My DJ Music on your computer, in your hard drive or whatever. It doesn't matter where you keep it. I would recommend keeping it in your hard drive, not just on your desktop or in your downloads or something like that. And the reason for that is very simple. This is our 4th point. We're going to put it there and it's going to live there forever. Our music is never going to leave that folder. We're not going to say, oh, I'm going to rearrange my hard drive like I rearrange my furniture in my living room. Nope, it stays there forever. Why? Because your DJ software needs to know where it is. Let me explain why that is. We're going to introduce that music to our DJ software. It doesn't matter if you're using a laptop system or you have something which doesn't need a laptop because you're putting it all onto a USB. You still need to use the DJ software. We talked about that in the last lesson. Now, the DJ software doesn't copy that. It doesn't say, okay, there's the music, thank you. We suck it all up and import it into some place that you don't know about. No, the DJ software just refers to where you keep it. So if you move it your DJ software will suddenly be full of red rows saying can't find the music. So once it's gone into its folder, it lives there, because as soon as we put it into our DJ software, the DJ software has to know where you keep it. So don't move it, right? So we're going to bring it into our DJ software. Now we're going to set our DJ software to analyze. Analyze means it just has a little listen to the file itself. Once it's done that, everything in the DJ software will work quicker, right? We don't want it to be doing that when we drag the tracks onto the decks for the first time, because it takes a few seconds to do it, and we want the track just to be snappy and there and working. So set your software to analyze upon import. Now, there's only two more things here, but they're both very important. I'm going to save the most important one to last, actually. So our next point is something you never had to do back in the days of vinyl. You did do it in the days of burning CDs, actually, which is label our music up properly. Now it's called metadata with modern digital music. And the metadata is the data about the data. If you count the music itself as data, then the data about it is the artist, the title, the year, the genre, the artwork, and all that stuff. Make sure that stuff's all added. Now you don't have to go any further than your DJ software itself. That will let you do it. You just click on the columns that say title, artist, year, and so on. Check they're all right, check they're all correct, and fill them in if they're absent, because this is going to make it a lot easier for you to find the right song to play next. And if you do it as you add them, you're not going to end up with a messy DJ collection. One really nice idea is to add the artwork, especially if you're adding music that you remember from years gone by, the artwork that you remember. Now, a really good way of doing this is going to your favorite search engine, switching into the images view and just searching. You can just use the name of the title, like, for instance, Robin S. Show Me Love artwork or cover. And then just pick the one that you remember. And you can usually download that and then just drag and drop it onto the entry for that track in your software. You might have to look in the instructions as to how to do it for your particular platform. And then you'll be able to view it with the artwork there as well. Some people find that really useful. Now, I don't do that. But if you are someone that's more visual, I mean, I certainly back in the day used to flick through my records looking for the red one with the black writing. And so if that's you and you want to do that with digital, well, you can, and that is how to do it. All right, so we've covered nearly everything now, apart from, I promised you, the most important thing at the end of our 7 points. And the most important thing is this: back up your library. There's two big reasons for this. The obvious reason is that if you have a problem with your laptop and you lose that folder, you lose the hard drive it's on, you've now lost your music collection. That is catastrophic. We never want that to happen. 3 backups across 2 media types, one of which is off-site, away from where you are at the moment. One really good way of doing the away from where you are is just to put it in the cloud, in Dropbox or something, or just stick it on a hard drive and hide it at work. But either way, if you have a 3-2-1 backup and you do it every week, set it in your calendar or set an alarm on your phone or whatever, then your music collection will always be safe. But the second reason for doing that, which is the kind of more psychological reason, is the minute you back up your collection onto something that you can hold, like a hard drive or something, it suddenly becomes physical again. It suddenly becomes real again. Because in the old days with our records and CD wallets and so on, it was real, right? You could hold it. That's my music. Well, you can do it again. And there's something that changes in your head. Now you're taking the time to build a collection mindfully, listen to them before you add them, go through all the processes of adding the metadata and importing them and analyzing them in your DJ software. And now you've put them back onto this thing you can keep. Suddenly it's all real again. And it really helps with that switch from the old-fashioned physical ways into the ways of today, where it's all digital. All right then, so now we've covered the 7 golden rules of a music collection. Let's talk about the questions that we get asked most here. Now, the biggest one, of course, is where the hell do I get all this stuff from? Well, even nowadays, with most people not buying music, you can still buy music in really mainstream places. The iTunes store still sells music, still sells albums, still sells releases, still sells individual tracks, and it's cheap. So that's a good place. Amazon MP3 downloads is a good place as well. In both those places, they also have music subscription services and so on. So make sure you're buying an MP3 or an AAC download. It doesn't matter which formats you use nowadays. All DJ platforms play all the big formats. Right, so what if you want to get some more esoteric stuff, some more underground stuff, some more hard to find stuff? Well, the places to look for that kind of thing, especially if you are looking for smaller artists and older stuff, are on Beatport which is great for underground electronic, but also nowadays for more mainstream music. So Beatport and Bandcamp. Now, Bandcamp is a great place because it also allows you to give more of the money you spend to the artists, which is always a nice thing. So I think between all those stores, iTunes, Amazon, Beatport, Bandcamp, you will cover, for most people, most of the time, nearly all the music you need. Now, you might not cover all of it, especially if you've got music up here from decades gone by. Where do you find those difficult songs? Well, if you already own them, this is one case where it might be worth ripping. And ripping just means taking the physical music and turning it into digital files. It is worth doing that. You are just going to want to use all your music digitally. You are. So don't think, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll play some records and then I'll play some CDs and then I'll play off my laptop. It's a nice thought, but it just doesn't really work like that. Once you get into digital music, you're just going to want it all digital, right? So kind of get that thought out of your head. If you own the CDs, it's not so hard to rip them. There's no time to go into exactly how to do it here, although we do cover it in our all access program. Of course we do. We cover all of this stuff in detail in there. But you can get a small drive for just a few dollars, which will allow you to plug it into your computer and rip CDs. You know, computers, laptops always used to have a CD slot, didn't they? Well, it just gives you that back. You can not only get that music off the CD and digitize, but normally it can look up the artists and titles and all that stuff for you, which is really useful. So that's one way. If you own the vinyl, but you can also find those tracks on the services I mentioned, just go and buy them. Honestly, you will never get the vinyl rips to sound as good as a nice, clean digital version of that file. So my advice, having made the mistake, is just go and buy them. If you are going to rip them, then do make a good job of it. We've got, again, guides over in our all access membership that show you how to do this, show you the software, give you advice on making sure that the files that you rip sound nice and so on. But honestly, you're going to have to try really hard to get a better sounding version that way. So that's really only if you can't find them. A lot of DJs, when they're building a collection, find unmixed CDs on eBay and places like that that cover the years that they want to go back to. And you just buy the CD, there might be 2 or 3 tracks on it that you can rip that you want, and then you can just move the CD on. All right, so the next question is, do I need any other software, or indeed, do I need software at all? So at the very early days of CDs, like of DJ CDs, people would just get the MP3s, like maybe buy them from, back then it would be the iTunes store, of course, because iPods were all the rage, and they just drag them onto a drive. They wouldn't need any software. Nowadays, the minimum software you need is your DJ software, because that will format everything and get it to work properly with modern equipment. So you do need the piece of DJ software, and that works whether you're a laptop DJ or a USB DJ, as we said. However, what about all the other software out there? You might see software like Mixed in Key, or another piece of popular software is called Platinum Notes. You may hear about software called things like MP3 Gain that can make everything louder. You may hear software that can batch process your files, that help with the getting all the metadata up to date, the artist, the title, and so on. You may even hear of programs called things like Lexicon DJ and Mixo and things like this that are designed to get your music collection working across different formats and in the cloud and all this stuff. Do you need these? Should you be thinking about these? No, absolutely not. Remember what I said at the beginning. Our job here is to get the first 60 songs into our digital DJ library so we can start DJing again. Back in the gear lesson earlier on, I said to you that really we just want to get back to what we were doing before, and having a great crate of music, 60 odd songs would fill a record crate or a CD wallet is enough. And once you've got them, you don't need to do anything to them. This stuff is for specialists who know what they're doing, and it will not really change anything at this stage in your journey. So just don't worry about any of it. And a lot of DJs never worry about any of it. Period. So do not get distracted by this extra software. And the final question then, which is a big one, but we can hopefully cover it off very quickly, is there's streaming services in my DJ software. Why don't I just use them? The reason is twofold. One, streaming services have music which obviously needs the internet to work most of the time. Sometimes you can download like a temporary copy, but most of the time it needs the internet. But more importantly, two, what's on the streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, etc., changes, right? So if you've got playlists in there, I'm sure if you use those services, you go back to playlists you made a few months ago, there'll be a few grayed out tracks. You don't want grayed out tracks in your DJ collection. That's no good. It's like a carpenter turning up to do a job, opening their toolbox and finding a few tools missing. It's fine if you're super casual, but as soon as you're taking it in any way seriously, you kind of want your stuff to be there when you need it, right? And the other kind of good reason here is if you start owning music and streaming music, organizing your library becomes really difficult because some music's there and some music's there and so on. Look, just have a small, clean, lean collection of music that you bought that you really love. That's the stuff we're going to worry about. The streaming services are a fun add-on, but don't take them too seriously. Right, we've actually covered quite a lot here, and I'm hoping that you're raring to go and to prepare your music. You get on with doing that, and when you've got that 60 songs, well, let's start talking about mixing them in the next Returning to DJing for Old School DJs lesson. And meanwhile, if you do want to start taking this further right now, you've got absolutely no patience, you just want to dive in, then just go take a look at our All Access Pass. This is where DJs like you get all the help they need to not only get started, but to get everything you need to make this the best hobby in the world for the rest of your life, having wanted to do it probably for half your life. It's called All Access. It's the membership that gets you everything we do here at Digital DJ Tips. I'd love to see you in there. But meanwhile, from me, Phil, here in the studio, until the next lesson, get good, get out there, make the moments. I will see you next time. Bye for now.